Welcome back to Cuisine Junkies. Today we're making veggie lasagna. Let's get to it. Alright, so the keys to a good lasagna is the sauce and the cheese. Trying to stay true to a meatless February, Kat and I decided to tackle a veggie lasagna. So in our particular situation, the sauce is going to be overloaded with veggies. And so what we have today is spinach, carrots, fresh basil, bell pepper, onion, garlic, green onion, zucchini, and mushrooms. And we're gonna chop all of this up and like put it in the sauce and get it down real nice and flavorful and season it, and that'll be the stuffing for the lasagna. So once the vegetables are all chopped up, the baseline of our sauce is gonna come from this Prego marinara sauce. We used the Prego sauce once before for Alfredo sauce, and it was really good. So, you know, not having the time to make a homemade sauce or anything like that, we decided to go with the jar Prego sauce. And then just to add a little twist to it, we decided to add in some crushed roasted tomatoes. So that should add a little kick to it in addition to the vegetables we've already got chopped up. For the pasta for our lasagna, we're going with whole grain lasagna pasta. These still need to be boiled. When I boil the pasta, I like to actually boil it in a little bit of chicken broth to give the pasta a little bit of flavor itself. So I'll add that in as well with a little bit of olive oil. And then, like I mentioned earlier, the cheese is very important. So we have 3 different types of cheeses we're using with the lasagna: ricotta cheese, Parmesan, and mozzarella. So it should be really good. We're gonna start boiling the noodles and getting the pasta sauce going. It's gonna be great. We've already got the noodles boiling right here and some of the vegetables sauteing. The trick with the vegetables is you want to get a lot of the harder vegetables going first on the grill, sauteing down in the pan so they can get a little bit softer before you add the sauce. So you kind of got to be mindful of how you add your vegetables into the pot or whatever. So I've got the carrots, the bell peppers, the onions, and the mushrooms going in first, kind of stewing down with a little bit of oil. I'm about to steam them up. I'm about to season them up right now, add some flavor. And then we have the lasagna noodles over here boiling. I didn't have a proper pot, so I had to use like a larger skillet here. So the noodles were so long, so they could kind of be fully submerged under the water. But I just added a little chicken stock to it and a little bit of oil. But yeah, so progress, man. Progress. Now we're adding in the zucchini. So now we've added in the spinach. And so now we have it at a good consistency. The spinach is boiled down quite a bit. And so now we're gonna let it simmer. You can see too the noodles starting to come together. They've softened up. So we'll just let it steam down. So now we're making the sauce. Our original game plan was to have the vegetables and the sauce all together, but working with imperfect utensils here, our pots aren't big enough. And so we're gonna cook the sauce separately and then just assemble it afterwards. We'll see how it goes. Should be good though. Adding in the rosemary, but I want to break it down a little bit before I just add it in. So all the herbs and spices. Add a little bit of sugar just for flavor. The spinach let go a lot of water once it boiled down. So I'm using like a spoon that can somewhat strain the liquid out, and just adding the vegetables right into the sauce. I separated out a little bit of sauce to the side over here. Just because when you put the lasagna into the tray, you want to add a little bit of sauce to the bottom of the tray so it doesn't dry out, it doesn't burn when you put it in the oven. Here is all of the sauce and vegetables merged together. I'm just bringing it to a nice simmer. The vegetables are at a good soft consistency, perfect for inside the lasagna. and the sauce is looking pretty good, pretty nice and thick, like how you want it. So next we'll start assembling the actual lasagna itself. So we don't have a big enough strainer for all this, nor a proper pot to store it in. So we're just trying to individually take all the pasta sheets off. Now I'm gonna put a little bit of the sauce without the veggies at the bottom of the pan, just to coat the pan a little bit, so that it's not, so that the noodles aren't the first thing that hits the pan. So you don't need a whole lot. You just want to coat a little bit of it. Yeah, so now basically what I've done is I've emptied the ricotta cheese into the bowl. I'm trying to get it down into like a spreadable consistency, and so I'm just basically breaking it apart. So you can see we have the layer of sauce there. I missed to see that and forgot to spray some of the non-stick oil, but you have to do that so it doesn't stick to the tray. So the next step will be to add some of the noodles to the bottom, coat it with the ricotta cheese, add some of the sauce, Parmesan and mozzarella, and then just keep layering like that. But again, like, all your flavor was spent building this sauce. In other normal situations, this would have meat. Obviously, we're just doing veggies, so no meat. And then the cheese and stuff will go on top. So it should be good, man. Cheese and veggies. Okay, so what I'm doing here now, I've got the first layer of noodles, and now I'm just spreading out the ricotta cheese. So yeah, so now we're adding in our sauce that we just got done seasoning and cooking down really nice with all the veggies. And we're just gonna kind of pack it in there, kind of press it down, compress the layers. You wanna get a nice thick layer. You want every piece of lasagna that somebody's gonna eat, you know, to have a good portion of veggies. Okay, so now we're gonna add a layer of cheese. We don't have a whole lot, so we're not gonna be too aggressive, but we should, man. I wish we had more cheese. I think Kat told me at one point, I don't like cheese, I don't like cheese.
I never said this.
You ain't supposed to talk, man. And then what we'll do is try to like spread it around a little bit. Spread it around a little bit. All right, so now we're adding a little bit more of the Parmesan now. So now you have the ricotta, the vegetable sauce, layer of mozzarella, and a layer of Parmesan. And then now we're gonna add another layer of noodle and kind of just repeat those steps. Okay, so now we're on layer number 3, adding the last little bit of cheese to the top layer crust to kind of lock everything in. So total in this casserole dish, we were able to get 3 layers and then a final crust layer. We have some fresh basil that we're gonna just sprinkle on the top to kind of give it a little extra flavor. I'll spread it around, obviously, once it's on. So we've sprinkled around the basil, the fresh basil, so it's nicely coated. And then finally, we'll add the Parmesan to lock in the final crust on top. Now we're gonna put the lasagna into the oven for about 30 or 40 minutes at about 350. So we ended up baking it for 40 minutes total. We checked it at a 30-minute mark and it wasn't ready yet. So now we're gonna pull it out and see what we got here. The cheese is fully melted at the top. The top noodle crisped up a little bit. You can tell on the sides it kind of baked in. The inside's cooked a little more. You can see the ricotta cheese right there, kind of cooked in a little bit. It looks good, looks good. So we'll cut into it next and put it on a plate once it's set and see how it ends up. So we let it sit for like 15 minutes after it came out of the oven so it could kind of cool down and set a little bit. And so now we're gonna cut into it and kind of serve it up and see how all the layers all kind of fit together. Boom. Boom, look at that. It even held. Look at that. That's like restaurant quality. So how is it?
That shit is good. So good. Good job.